Stocks losing some of their luster recently, now on track for their worst quarter in some 2 years. The sector faces another critical test later today in overtime when CrowdStrike reports. Joining me now, CrowdStrike shareholder and CNBC contributor Malcolm Ethridge of CIC Wealth. It's good to see you. We kind of can separate some of these software stocks from the pack. This stock has done it, right? CrowdStrike has had the best performance of any of the cyber names year to date. Adam and I were just talking about the upset in some of the other names over the last week or so. So where are your expectations going into overtime?
Yes, Scott, I actually think, so I own CrowdStrike personally. A number of our clients in the firm do too. And it's been my single best performing stock in my own personal portfolio since I've owned it. I bought it in January of 23, right at about the $100 mark. And the reason that I'm so bullish on the sector itself plus software, one is because cybersecurity has become just a non-discretionary spend, right? The SEC coming out and mandating large companies to let us know of any material incidents around cybersecurity is just another tailwind at the back of these companies. But CrowdStrike, specifically to your point, being cloud native, it's no surprise that it's become the best performing one out of the pack, especially after Palo Alto inadvertently justified CrowdStrike's model by talking about the need for platformization and getting everything under one roof in such a fragmented market.
But what about the fact that the stock's up so much, as I said? What does that do to the bar? Didn't we see what happens when stocks go up a lot or where the bar rises a lot and then you don't meet that moment? Hello, ServiceNow. Hello, Salesforce. Hello, Mongo. I could go down the list.
So I do think it's definitely going to take a beat and raise to impress CrowdStrike shareholders tonight. But I think a little bit beyond today, right? This is the sector that I have the most conviction about over the next 12 months plus for a whole host of reasons, right? PwC did a survey of about 4,000 global leaders, and the enterprise spend on cybersecurity is expected to increase in 2024 for these guys above 2023, right? Gartner's research says something like $215 billion is the number we can expect globally on cybersecurity defense, right? So this is, again, like I said, a non-discretionary line item for a lot of these companies. So if there are shareholders that don't like what they hear today, decide to dump those shares, and we start to trend toward, I think 270 is the support level for this name, I will definitely be a buyer of those shares because long term, this is the sector that I want to be in.
What about Palo Alto, though? Because, again, all cyber security software stocks, say that 10 times, are not created equal.
So I think it's interesting that Palo Alto was once upon a time the leader and the dominant name in this space. They still are by market cap, but CrowdStrike is gaining on them. I think it definitely is something to be said that they have receded, but I also think it was an overreaction by the market to sell off Palo Alto shares when the word platformization was used and came out, right? Yes, they definitely have quite a bit of legacy on-premise technology that's going to need to be moved to the cloud. But the opportunity in this space, the number of dollars that are going to have to be spent in this space, because just as good as the cyber defenses are becoming, the attacks are getting even better with the use of AI and everything else that we've talked about countless times on this network. And so I just think it's short-sighted for shareholders to look at a Palo Alto, for example, who's going to benefit from the $10 billion plus that's in the Biden administration's budget for cyber defense this year alone, because they have the highest level of federal contracts in the cyberspace. I just think it's short-sighted for investors who are considering selling off either of these names, but specifically CrowdStrike, because their model, the whole land and expand model that they offer is just easy for me as an investor to understand. You got five of our modules that you really love. Well, here's another 5 that you'll love more. And you like those 10? Well, here's another 5 that you'll love more. And they just incrementally weave their way through your organization to the point that they're the only provider that you have in a very fragmented, otherwise sector. There's a lot of opportunity for consolidation here in this industry. And I think CrowdStrike being the leader shouldn't be very much of a surprise.
What about tech at large? Roared back from the April lows. It's up 7.5% in a month. What now?
Well, I love software. I love tech primarily because of this little thing called operating leverage, right? Anytime these companies build a product, it costs them almost nothing to push that product to the very next customer once it's built, right? So the operating leverage for them being able to sell one more seat on that software is what makes these companies so attractive. And unfortunately, I look at a company like Tesla, where Elon Musk has proven just how easy it is to keep things humming. Twitter's still alive after he bought it and let go about 80% of the workforce. And so that right there proves the thesis that once the software is up and running, it doesn't really cost them very much to get it in the hands of the next customer.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's the
opportunity
greatest example. To be honest with you, I mean, the value is a lot less than what he paid for it.
Yeah, no, I don't mean necessarily that that is a great investment. I just mean that it proves the thesis that you don't need necessarily a ton of lift once the product has been shipped. And that's where the operating leverage is for these software companies. So the sell-off in Salesforce, I kind of understand. I think, again, a little bit short-sighted for investors, primarily because they don't have a surefire offering in AI that's exciting enough to say that they're going to be able to ring the register the same way Microsoft, for example, can with ChatGPT. But I think software and tech more broadly is definitely going to be the winner by the end of this year as we look at where the opportunities are. And as you guys just got done talking about, it's the sword and the shield, right? We talk about safety. We look for a safe haven when things get bumpy, as they probably will later in the summer. Tech is going to benefit once again.